Welcome back to Cayuga Forum. I'm here again with Steve Keeler, and we have more guests. We have 3 telecom students who are involved with student activities here at Cayuga Community College. First, we have Caleb Slater, who is editor-in-chief of the Cayuga Collegian, the college's newspaper. And then we have Ed Vivenzio, who is station manager of the college radio station, WDWN. And we have Frank the Tank Smith, who is president of Cayuga Records here on campus. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
It's good to be here.
How are you guys doing today?
Pretty well.
Pretty good.
All right. Now, first question for you, Caleb. You are the editor-in-chief of the newspaper. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Collegian, his history?
Yes, the Collegian serves to be the voice of the students. Ed also is here to be serve as a record of what goes on campus and in the area by the viewpoint of the students. We're actually in our 62nd year. Here's a copy actually right here of our most recent issue of the Cayuga Collegian. We're in our 62nd year, which means that we launched in 1954, which is the year right after the college opened.
Also, it's been involved with the students that long.
Yes.
So when it was ACC back in the 50s.
Right. So then back then it wasn't called the Cayuga Collegian. It was just the Collegian because it wasn't Cayuga Community College. It was Auburn Community College.
Oh. Now, Ed, you're the station manager of the college radio station. Can you tell me more about that?
Certainly. Well, we were founded on October 31st, 1971. Our 45th birthday is coming up at the end of this year. And we broadcast with 3,000 watts of power in analog and HD. You can also find us online at WDWN.FM. We have a translator in Fulton as well, so you can reach us even further if you tune into 97.7 FM. Our format is college alternative, so that focuses on new and emerging artists, and we also do feature heavily a lot of local artists, and that's something that you typically won't find on commercial radio.
So are you accepting all invitations for local artists who want to bring in their music to play on the radio?
Yes, we have a program director, and all of the music from local artists can go right there. And yes, we'll accept any style. That's one of the beautiful things about Win 89 is that you'll hear stuff here that you won't hear on other radio stations. You can hear a rock band with a pop act and then a rap artist.
Oh, cool. Speaking about music, Frank, you're the president of Cayuga Records.
Oh, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more on how Cayuga Records started?
Well, Cayuga Records started in 2008. It's a student-run recording studio, and it's a full-size recording studio with an isolation booth, and everything is what you would find in a state-of-the-art facility. It's not like a box type recording studio where you're sitting on your computer at home and it's actually a full size studio, which is hard to find these days because there's so many artists that record stuff in their own little private room. This is hands-on learning with state-of-the-art equipment, and it's something that's kind of hard to find these days, and you get that experience here.
And what kind of artists are on the Cayuga Records catalog?
Well, we have a variety of artists, and it ranges from the highest selling album of all time is actually, I believe, Steve, it's Italian music.
And a traditional Italian chorus is our biggest seller.
It's the biggest seller, and we also have rap artists. We have actually a person, I don't know if I can mention their name, but they are a signed artist out of New Jersey, and he started here. And he was in Los Angeles last week. He's coming back to Rochester, and he's starting to make his way up the ladder. He started right here at CCC.
Back to you.
Oh, excuse me. If I could just interrupt for a second, Jeff. It's always to me very remarkable the number of student activities the college has for students to be involved in, especially activities that are related to a student's field of study. So, for instance, I think Caleb is interested in pursuing a career in journalism. So he works at the school newspaper. Excuse me. And Ed is interested in a career in radio, so he's working at the radio station. And Frank is a recording artist who would like to work in the recording industry. So for students like him, we have Cayuga Records. And I think if you look around the college, you find lots and lots of student activities that are not just what we think of as the extracurricular activities that you do outside of school, but co-curricular activities. They support what a student does in their field of study. And I think that's really important to point out that, you know, not only do students participate in the classroom and learn the theory behind things, but we have these very sort of practical experiences, these very sort of practical activities they can get involved in, which really enhance what they do in the classroom.
So most of you guys spend a lot of extra time outside of night hours, early hours, weekend hours, putting time into all your activities, correct?
Most definitely.
Yeah,
yeah.
I can definitely.
So Caleb, how did you get started with the Collegian, and how did you get interested in like writing for the newspaper?
It's actually kind of funny, Jeff. I was taking Mary Merritt's Intro to Mass Media course last year, and during the time I was in her course, I was job hunting. I was going to Radio Shack, Walmart, all these places weren't hiring me. And then Mary came up to me one day while I'm in the hall, and she said that she needs a new writer because she just needed a new writer. There was an incident with one of the other ones. She just wasn't able to do it due to her schedule. And I said, if I can get it under a work study, then I'll do it. And so I started writing for the Collegian, and it helped me with my writing skills, definitely helped me with my English courses. But what really got me involved with the Collegian is one of the benefits actually of the Collegian and of the school newspapers, that we can help make change, keep students aware of what's going on in the community. And what happened last year was that Centro, which is the public transportation authority in the area, was going to make changes. They were going to remove the night bus, they were going to remove the Sunday bus to Syracuse, and that was going to negatively impact a lot of students who were in the area. And nobody was talking about it. The student government wasn't doing anything about it. Nobody was talking about it. And I said, this is a serious issue because we pay a fee. It comes out of our activity fee for this service. So I wrote an editorial about it. And then afterwards, Norm instantly was sending an email out about it. The student government did a petition, and I sat in on a meeting with, there was a town meeting, open forum, with some of the executives from Centro, and they decided not to make those cuts. And I don't know if that would have happened if students weren't involved and weren't talking about these issues.
That's pretty amazing that you did that.
Amazing.
Ed, question for you.
Okay.
Being involved with the radio station, how did you come to get involved with that?
Well, my first week of classes here, scared little freshman, I heard that there was a radio station, and I went down kind of nervous because I wasn't actually a telecom student at the time. I was a music major, and I didn't know if I was going to be allowed in, and I went into the lobby, and all the staff had their doors open, and they were more than happy to talk with me and help me fulfill the training that I needed to get on. And I just had so much fun that after that semester, I switched majors, and I started doing more hands-on stuff involved in the telecommunications department, still loving being on the radio. And then I got my own night show because at our station at night, the format changes from college alternative to more of what a DJ prefers.
Well, like a specialty show.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. And so that allows for a very, very great variety of genres. And then I applied for the position of station manager, and I've loved every day I've come into work since then. I can honestly say that.
Another amazing story, thanks. Frank.
Yes, Jeff.
You are a musician, so coming to Cayuga Records was sort of like a natural fit for you, correct?
Yes, it was. I have written probably 50-some songs, and due to injury, I went through a program to help me to redirect where I would have income coming in, and it just was a natural change, if you will, to follow where my heart was, and it was just the natural thing to do. And I came here. The school came highly recommended. I've heard about the communications department, and everybody that I talked to, even in line, it's like, you have to go to the Auburn. That is the place to go. And so I applied and somehow got here.
And you are also a Cayuga Records artist, correct?
That is correct. I'm under FTT.
How did that all come about?
Well, I sent my music in, and people voted on who would be recorded. It's based on what you turn in and your availability to actually make the sessions to be recorded, because if you sign up to be an artist, you have to come in here to be recorded. It can't be like, oh, I got 15 minutes Sunday between. It has to be, hours of time. There's a lot of time involved in setting up and recording somebody, and they have to make a schedule, and you have to be there. Even though it doesn't cost anything, people put themselves out for it, and it's just like in a real profession. If you really want to be an artist, you have to show up, because you know why? You're paying for it. So you have to have the attitude, this is costing somebody something. If we sign you up, you have to come in, and we've had really good luck this year. Now that I've been president, we've had 2 shows, and that's 2 artists that showed up on time, and that's what we
musicians
need.
showing
You
up on
actually have
time.
to have one. We were able to get the drummer out of the vehicle, so
Oh, okay.
that's just a joke, sorry.
I think, Jeff, it's really important to point out that these organizations that they're involved in, these are student-run organizations. I mean, sure, they all have staff advisors, but the advisors are really there just to provide continuity from year to year, so that new students coming in know what the organization is, know what the organization is about, and they can provide them with some initial guidance to get started. But the actual work is done, by the students. I mean, you look at the Collegian. The students are the ones who write all the stories in the Collegian. The students are the ones who are out interviewing people, thinking of story ideas. You look at the radio station. The DJs at the radio station are, by and large, students. I mean, yes, there are a few community volunteers, but by and large, it's students. Students are on the air. Students are running the departments for the radio station. And then you look at Cayuga Records. Sure, there's a couple of faculty advisors who can provide some quality control and some advice for the students. But it's Frank and the other students who are in there with the musicians, putting in the hours, getting them on a record and producing those records. So these are really great organizations in terms of students really getting in and getting their hands dirty doing the work.
If I can add to what Steve Keeler said,
Sure.
Another great thing about these organizations is the way that they're set up and the way that we work with the radio station, Cayuga Records, and even the Collegian, is it's meant to simulate what the way that the real world work experience would look like. As an example, with the Collegian, we're in the office, just like you said, we write the stories, we meet about, okay, who's covering what. You actually have to make the appointments, you go and you interview the people just like you would do with a newspaper. With the radio station, you're setting up, you know more about the equipment than I do, but you're setting up just like you would in the real world. And with you're meeting with potential artists, you're doing just like
Well,
you
you're
would
dealing with their personalities,
Exactly.
and you're interacting. That's the way it really is. It's hands-on learning experience.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. I mean, don't get us wrong. It's not like you're just thrown into this and you get a baptism by fire. There are always instructors who are more than willing to help you succeed, but it is the students who do the work, and it is the students who benefit from it. You're not just sitting there day in and day out watching someone do something, whether it's setting up a microphone for a band or reviewing a CD or proofreading an editorial. You're doing that yourself, and you're coming away better for the experience. I think that's something that the clubs and other activities that this school does are amazing for that.
Now, Frank, I see you brought a stack of CDs there.
Well, actually, Steve Drummond, he's actually very inept on what they are and who did what when.
Being one of the advisors.
Being one of the advisors.
This is what an advisor does: is provides the history
Okay.
to the new students. So, for instance, Caleb coming in to the paper. Well, I mean, that's a paper that's now 62 years old. So, who provides him with some sense of, that history, that long line of students, and where the paper's been and where it's going? It's the advisor. The radio station is now going to be 45 years old this year. That's a long history of consistency and years of students that have come before Ed. And so it's important for an advisor to tell them what the foundation is that they can build on. Cayuga Records, a lot newer, started in 2008, but there's a foundation for Frank to build on. So I'll go through some of the foundation.
Right, because
So-
I work on the people that are here right now,
and
you've
it's
worked
important
with
to
all
look
these
at to look at the catalog. So here you have this album, and let's can we get a shot, maybe a close up of the albums? And yeah, there we go. So here's one, Artistry, and this was a young alternative band from Oswego. I think you just keep that shot right there. I'll just keep flipping through the albums. The Nap by the Waterfall, one of the things Cayuga Records does is spoken word recordings, and so this was a collection of poems by the poet Howard Nelson. This is one Frank referred to earlier, Gruppo Folkloristico. This is a local chorus of senior citizens who sing traditional Italian songs in Italian, and this has probably been Cayuga Records' biggest seller so far. Barry's Crossing, Celtic rock duo, really nice album, very melodic, very musical. And here's Frank's album.
Yay!
I Got Drunk and I Texted Your Mother. A
Yeah.
collection of original country songs by Frank the Tank, also known as Frank Smith, our current president of Cayuga Records. Another spoken word album, Memory Unit, by the poet Christopher Kennedy, a collection of poems about his mother's struggle with Alzheimer's disease. Upstate's Finest, a rap hip-hop album. The guy you see there on the left, Dion Herring, was signed by a major label in the New York City area and is now working for them as an up-and-coming rap hip-hop artist. Lee Terrace, River the Buy Down. This is a young, sort of alternative, Grateful Dead kind of jam band. And finally, this one is a crack in the cover, unfortunately. Joanne Perry is a local singer-songwriter. It's kind of a folk rock singer-songwriter. And this album was nominated for a Sammy Award. So, the Cayuga Records is producing very high-quality material. And it's what we call a regional label. We work with artists in the upstate New York region, regardless of what their genre of music would be. So anything from hip-hop to rock to country to spoken word to traditional Italian to alternative to electronica. It's whatever the students that year think would be good for them to work on. And I think Frank will tell you, the students in Cayuga Records, they're the ones that choose who they work with.
And so
Right, Frank?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And so all those albums you just showed are all student-produced albums. The students recorded them, did all the groundwork. with
Well, I know
everything?
the two that I'm working on right now, I don't think we've had to have anybody in the studio at all except for the people in the club. So
Wow, that's really great.
because I'm going to take the pressure off the professors, and if I'm doing stuff and I have to figure it out, I'm going to learn. Because if you can read a book about how to do something all day, but when somebody hands you whatever you're reading about, it's a total different. I don't know what you would say. It's a total different
So
scenario.
it seems you're enjoying the practical experience.
Oh yeah, I've never been happier in my life, and I've lived fairly long, hopefully longer. And this is following what your heart is in and doing it the right way. I recommend people, if you want to do something, come here and get the hands-on knowledge of doing things, and you'll feel better. I've never felt better, really.
Now, a question for you, Ed. Do the Cayuga Records artists get played on the college's radio station?
Yes, it is nice that we can work together, and we do have, during our local artist segments of each hour, we do play artists who are on the Cayuga record label.
Oh, wow. That's great. Now, Kayla, with the Collegian,
Yes.
when they have events for the Cayuga Records showcases like that, does the paper cover it, take pictures, write an article about it?
We cover a lot of events that, not just Cayuga Records, but the telecom department, the criminal justice department. If I find out about it and I'm unable to make it, I'll send another member of the staff to cover it. I know that we've covered the album release that was in the fall, when Frank the Tank's album released
Right,
at all
September
movie theaters.
30th. Yeah.
What date was that?
September 30th.
September 30th, yes. We covered that. We've covered, for the radio station, we've covered their, what was it that you did in October? It
Oh, well,
was-
because our birthday's on Halloween, we have a Halloween birthday bash.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we try to cover as many events as possible that we know are up and coming in the area.
I've also heard on campus that the Collegian is starting a YouTube page.
Yes, that's right. Another student in the telecom department, Malcolm Huey, recently joined the staff, and he does more photography, but he also handles the YouTube channel. He has a lot of experience with YouTube, and we figured a lot of school newspapers, if you look at Oswego, you look at Syracuse, you look at Ithaca, what they're doing is they're not just doing print media anymore. They're doing more with social media. They're doing more with online, and we figured it's time for us to play catch up and time for doing some stuff too. So we're going to do 1 to 2 videos a week, and one of the things that we're going to start doing is called the Collegian Report, where right here in the TV studio, actually, we do a more visual approach to broadcasting what is going on in the campus community.
That sounds great.
Yeah, very exciting.
Very exciting stuff. Now, Ed, the radio station is online also?
Yes, at WDWN.FM, and then also through the TuneIn app.
Okay. Is Cayuga Records, can you have access to the music to purchase online?
Yes, it's on.
On Amazon,
Amazon.
and CreateSpace, both.
There you
Oh,
go.
wow. So you guys are all online. That's great.
Yeah.
You guys are hit the whole spectrum.
And it is nice when we can all work together for something.
Yeah, how you guys are all intertwined. That's even
Mhm.
great. Now, what are some future plans for the Collegian? I mean, you guys have just started the YouTube channel.
Right.
So are you going to also have maybe a blog spot or stuff like that? Is it in the works?
You know, that's actually a good idea. To be honest with you, we haven't discussed a blog spot. We've discussed being more, like I said, social media. I do more sharing with the Facebook channel.
Okay.
Facebook channel, listen to me. I'm getting my words mixed
Social
up.
media.
Just social media. With the Facebook, I'm doing more sharing. If I see that the library has a sale or has an event going on, I'll share it. I know the bookstore has a sale going on, so I just shared that on the page recently. A blog hasn't been discussed, but I know that Twitter has been discussed, getting more in depth with that. And like I said, the YouTube channel, something's going on.
But you're active in social media.
Yes.
And is the radio station active in social media also?
Oh, incredibly. I don't think there's a day that goes by that we're not discussing some artists that we play or even just local news that affects the college or the Finger Lakes area in general. We do also have a Twitter page, and then we are on, as I said before, the TuneIn app.
And is Cayuga Records doing stuff with social media?
Well, I've been linking things to the telecom Facebook page, and we're really busy right now recording the artists, and right now I'm concentrated on that. We could use more help, and we've been having a few more people come in. We addressed the issue of firing up the old Cayuga Records Facebook. It's not on there. I did research. It's not there. We were talking about bringing it back, but I need somebody that's dedicated, like these two gentlemen here are. I need to find someone that's willing to take on that responsibility. I'm willing to do it myself, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I'd point out that Win 89, the radio station, has a website, WDWN.FM, where you can find out information about the radio station, link to its Facebook page and Twitter page, and also listen to the station. And Cayuga Records, CayugaRecords.com is the website for Cayuga Records. And you can get more information about Cayuga Records there. You can look through the entire catalog on that website. So I think all the student media organizations, Cayuga Records, Win 89 FM, the Collegian, are very active, in the web space. In some cases through informational websites, in some cases through social media. And I think that that's important these days for these student organizations to have some kind of presence on the internet and have a presence in social media, because like I always say, the second word in social media is media. And it's that way,
true.
and it's for a reason.
That's true. So Caleb, for the students, obviously you're finishing this spring semester?
Yes.
So are you finding let's say, a person to take over, like an apprentice, take over your job?
To answer your question, I am currently looking at members of the staff and members who are interested in the Collegian and seeing who would be best fit to replace me as the editor-in-chief once I leave. I'm not going to give any specific names at this current moment, but I am looking to see who would, best match kind of what's best for the Collegian.
And then did that process happen to you when you got involved with the Collegian also?
It was a similar process, yes.
Okay.
The last editor was Kelsey, and I worked I worked side by side with her for a lot of projects, and just one thing led to another, and I was ultimately decided to be the editor for this year.
Cool. Ed, are you on the lookout as well?
Yes. Now, Steve is one of the people who actually does the hiring for the radio staff. This is a paid position through student work, but I have been looking at people who I feel would be a good fit to bring to Steve's attention. And we've been having just so many people signing up and wanting to be a part of the station that finding a replacement for any of us who graduate in the spring, at the end of the spring, won't be a problem.
And to be a DJ is open to any Cayuga student, correct?
Any student. That to me is one of the best parts about it. It's open to any CCC student. You don't have to be in the telecom department. You don't have to be going for a specific degree. We just love to have everyone.
We'd love to have you.
And Frank, similar with you, looking for more people
Yes, I've been
involved?
trying to bring people that this is their first year in there, and just to get involved, so they get interested enough to, and feel confident enough to take things over, so it's a smooth transition. Like last year was my first year, and I was so interested, and said this next one that's going to be put out is going to be great, and I want to make sure that it's great. So somehow I got a present. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I think it's really important to point out that these three guys, what the remarkable job that they've done with these three organizations in the 2 years that they've been here. Because I think sometimes students find it very difficult to really take on these organizations and do something with them in such a short period of time. And these guys have really done a great job in taking these organizations and really running them, and they have a really good sense that they have to mentor the next group of students coming on so that they can build on the foundation that these guys have laid down. So I think they should be proud of themselves, and I think here at the college we're very proud of them for what they've done.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. That means a lot.
I appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys for joining me on today's program. We're going to wrap it up. Thanks for having Caleb. Thank you, Ed, Frank, and Steve.
Pleasure.
It's
Thank
always
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you for having
Jeff.
us.
I'm Jeff Sesniak, and we'll see you next time on Cayuga Forum. Thank you very much.